What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I wanted to just real quickly promote our merch. We just recently dropped a new line of t-shirts, and we have a lot of options for you to pick from, such as the 90s sweatshirt, the 90s tee, which is a nice vintage look that just looks so pretty, man. That red and blue color wave is so nice.
I'm gonna give me one of those sweatshirts.
Yes, sir. You got to. Winter's coming, man. Winter's coming. There's also the Give and Go FC shirt. Join the club, the digital realm. Join
the club.
We'll happily have you. As well as the tactical tee, which is our podcast logo on a t-shirt, a nice navy and cream design. And finally, our most popular design, the logo tee, which has our beautiful crest right there.
The OG.
The OG. On sale right now for $19.99. Look, guys, if you want to support us in any way possible, this is the best way.
Please.
That money goes straight to just supporting the channel, keeping the channel alive, helping us with our equipment, keeping our producer happy. The whole deal, man. Just go check out the site. It's on our website, thegivengoshow.com. The link will be in the description. Will be anywhere on our channels, as well as on our Instagram shop. So go check it out, guys, and thank you guys for supporting the channel. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Give and Go. I'm here with my boy Soltero. We're here to talk all things world football. And
what's up, guys?
I know exactly where I want to start this time.
Oh, okay. Man. Where are we going?
I want to start after the final whistle. I want to start on the side of a pitch. I want to start with a handshake, brother.
What's good?
Hey, look me in the eyes and shake my hand, bro. Look me in the eyes. Goddamn.
Dude, one of the most aggressive, violent handshakes I think I've ever seen. I've ever seen.
It has to be, because the build up to it was fucking sublime.
Yeah.
But then also to get that moment, man, it's the beauty of the Premier League, man. If you don't know what we're talking about the Conte versus Tuchel matchup that happened this past weekend at the Battle of the Bridge Part 2. Yeah. It's funny because we were just looking through the highlights the other day of the Battle at the Bridge, the first one, the original one, 2016, when Tottenham was vying for the title. And they went off on Chelsea when it came to like gameplay and physicality.
Yeah.
And this time around, it was nearly the same, dude. Nearly the same. Chelsea and Tottenham had an intense match, literally the second game of the season, and it's already that heated, man. What an indication of what's to come for both these teams, and what an indication of where the Premier League is right now in terms of entertainment. Because, dude, it was high octane all 90 minutes. Conte and Tuchel on the sideline, battling it out, being emotional, being passionate, being petty.
Yes.
I got a lot of messages on Instagram from people saying, man, it feels like Barclays Premier League is back, man. This feels vintage.
Oh, the physical type of Premier
like
League.
Mourinho against Wenger type of vibes.
Yeah.
This is top level TV. What did you think about it?
Oh, no, dude. First of all, I kind of to echo what you said, I really loved the approach that Tottenham took to this away game, because it was more personal than anything else. It was just, let's see if we can get this result here at Stamford Bridge. And they just came out with as much intensity and physicality as they could. It wasn't really about like, let's play pretty football. Let's play our game and let's match them, and let's make this a heated game. And that's exactly what it was. But starting at that end of the game, right, with that handshake, I loved it because, you know, obviously, like when after Tottenham had equalized, you could already see Conte and Tuchel were previously going at it already. Yeah. They had already going at it. Tuchel, when Chelsea went up 2-1, like, ran across the entire pitch just to celebrate. Honestly, like seeing if Conte was looking at him, you know? And then I was like, I want more. I want a little more.
A little bit more.
And they gave it to me at the end with that handshake, man.
I've just never seen it get that aggressive on the touchline, man. Like, to that point, that prideful, that egotistic, I loved it, man. But also, you know, the storylines at play with, you know, Chelsea coming into his match after I would say subpar performance against Everton where they got the win, but still people were, I was especially questionable of this Chelsea team going into the season. Whereas on the other hand, Tottenham was receiving a lot of praise for their transfer window and for the momentum they were building. And I actually, you know, I've been hearing a lot of people really compliment Chelsea for how they were able to play this game, and a lot of people feeling that they should have won the match. And I do agree. But Tottenham, I'm actually a little disappointed in personally because they were 2 questionable calls away from losing this match, man. You look at the first play, and we got to talk about these because it's been very controversial amongst all football media.
Yeah.
The first foul where Bentancur takes down, I think it was Havertz, and then like A few minutes later, the goal happens. What's your stance on VAR and that situation where a foul happens, but then a lot of gameplay precedes it?
Technically, and again, help me out here.
Yeah.
Technically, didn't Chelsea receive the ball back and then they immediately lost it?
Yeah, I think
technically,
Jorginho like did try to do some move at the top of the box and then lost it again.
And then lost it immediately. But for me, technically, he had possession. So he could have booted it. He could have done something a lot more just straightforward to get the ball out of their area. And so instead, he kind of played around with it, got risky, and then it ultimately ended in them conceding. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, like, when at first, I didn't feel right about it. I was like, they got to call that foul earlier.
This is obvious, too.
It was a clear foul.
It was just a missed call, I think.
It was. Yeah, the ref probably should have called it. But for me, since Jorginho got possession, it's fair. It's fair. But yes, the ref for me will have to take some points off for that. Like, mark him off at the end, be like, look, well, watch out for that next time. But for me, ultimately, Chelsea could have avoided it since they got the ball back.
Yeah, and then I also heard Tuchel himself said that he believed that Richarlison was in an offside position in the goal as well.
Oh, okay.
But even when I don't agree with that one, because when you look at the play, I think he's too far away to actually be impacting the goalkeeper's side of the
game. Same for me. Yeah. For me, not. Let's say that foul didn't happen and Richarlison was in the position he was, I'd be completely fair goal.
Yeah.
Richarlison for me didn't affect it.
Yeah. We move on to the second Tottenham goal, and this one's tricky because Anthony Taylor goes and he looks at VAR, at least he gets the call from VAR that there's been some action in the box.
Yeah.
And it's specifically Romero pulling back Cucurella's beautiful head of hair.
Those beautiful locks, bro.
Beautiful locks. Pulls him back and he just brings him down to the floor. It's a act of foul play. And I don't know what the procedure was there. I think Anthony Taylor just saw it. And they just continued. You just decide to continue play.
Yeah.
The following play is another corner kick by Tottenham, where Harry Kane scores the game-tying goal.
Flies in, bro.
Flies
in.
Yeah. And he just finishes right in that little bottom left corner. Reece James gets a foot on it, but he can't get it out. And Tottenham tie the game on a game-winning header. But that play still looms no matter what. The whole idea of Cucurella getting just yanked like that doesn't sit right with me in a footballing context where I'm like, there has to be some sort of punishment there, man.
So when I saw that, I was like, this has to be red. This has to be something or some sort of card, some sort of telling off something. But when I looked at that slow-mo, there's something that Romero doesn't do that I'm like, okay, you know what? I think this is a good non-call. When you really look at it, Romero doesn't grab a handful of hair and yank back. It's almost like he's trying to body Cucurella. And yes, his arm does come back a little bit. And yeah, maybe he does grab, but it's almost like the equivalent of grabbing the jersey at that point. And for me, that's always fair in the box. You can always tug on an opponent's jersey. Yeah. So for me, I just think the fact that Cucurella is a little bit smaller, I think Romero was just looking for something to grab, and it just so happened to be that beautiful hair. I really, really don't think that Romero was like, I'm going to grab his hair and I'm going to pull him down on the ground. I don't think he was actually thinking to do that. And so for me, that's fair.
I don't know. I feel like the game was tense up to that point. Romero had been involved in other plays.
That's true.
I thought that was kind of building up, and I thought that ultimately culminated in him pulling Cucurella's hair, which is a tough thing to do accidentally, but it could have been.
I'm not saying he didn't not pull his hair. He definitely pulled his hair, but what I'm saying, it wasn't like come here. It was more like I'm fighting for the ball and I'm gonna pull him a little bit. Yeah. And I'm okay with that, man.
Yeah. Well, gauging by how physical the rest of the game was, a part of me is okay with it, but I know that if I was a Chelsea fan, I would feel robbed.
I would want Romero's head. Yeah, I get that part.
Yeah.
I get it.
And also what's funny is that looking back at the Battle of the Bridge comparisons, the first Battle of the Bridge ended with no red cards, right? And that was a crazy fucking matchup.
Yeah.
This one ended with no Tottenham players ever getting a yellow card. I'm like, damn, man. Something about the reffing in these games that plays a pivotal role in kind of adding to that drama.
Yeah.
So ultimately, as a neutral, I'm fine with everything that happened. 2-2 tie, which is the same result as that first Battle of the Bridge.
Yeah.
Just crazy comparisons. But I'm ultimately okay with it, but I get it, man. If you're a Chelsea fan, you feel robbed. And if you're a Tottenham fan, you feel good about this point that you ultimately pulled out, because I think that the commentators were saying that records-wise, they've only won at Stamford Bridge once in their history. Chelsea dominates the Chelsea-Tottenham matchup.
Wow.
And to get that tie in those circumstances, I think is ultimately a good thing. But I'm left still a little bit more concerned about Tottenham than I am about Chelsea. Chelsea impressed me, and Tottenham left me wanting a little bit more. And although I do feel they can match up with a team like Chelsea, I need them to kind of be more assertive in how they play, to at least have the confidence in them finishing top 4 like I had previously predicted.
Okay, yeah, I completely agree. And the thing is, if you take away those 2 weird chances that ultimately ended in goals for Tottenham, I still think Chelsea should have won this game because I think it was Kai Havertz. He had a clear shot on goal. Cross from the right side.
He's been off.
Yeah, he's been off. Cross from the right side. He's crashing the boards, and he just kicks it wide. And if he puts that on target, it's an immediate goal. So I was like, dang, Chelsea, that's ultimately at this level, that's a sitter. And Chelsea missed that opportunity to score 3 goals. So even if you take away those Tottenham like gifts of goals, if you will, I still think Chelsea should have won this game. Yeah. So for me, that kind of echoes your point of Tottenham. If I was a true Tottenham fan, I'd be a little worried given that like this is the performances you're putting right now. I guess the only positive is that you have that fight, you have the will to win, and that's ultimately headed by Conte, right? Yeah. You know Conte is going to drill his players. You know he's going to have a really good game plan going to every game. So that's something you can bank on. But as far as like actually getting the result against a big team, not even talking about Chelsea, talking about those bigger teams, I don't know if Tottenham can do it right now.
Put Conte and Tuchel in a boxing ring, and who wins?
I think Tuchel's got the reach, man.
No, man. Conte's a dog, though.
He's a dog.
He's a dog, man.
You know what I didn't realize until I saw this game? How tall Tuchel is, man.
Yeah, he's got a good half a foot on him.
Yeah, he's
like 6 inches.
6'3".
Dude, he's tall.
Yeah, he's tall.
And
Conte's only 5'10".
Yeah. But he's got this like.
Oh, he's barbaric.
He's barbaric. Yeah, he's a barbarian, man. And I could see him just getting those body shots on Tuchel, man. And I just don't think Tuchel has although he did show he has the speed, I don't think he has that killer punch in him.
Yeah.
But good Lord, can he run, bro? Tuchel was running fast on that sideline, man.
But that's ultimately what I loved about this game, man, was that even though, it was a really aggressive game, it never got that violent.
Yes.
It was heated. It was passionate. But it never crossed that line of, we have to stop this.
Yes.
Like it actually reached a really good boiling point where you're just like, this is pure entertainment, and we as a league can condone this. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And that's what a lot of people were saying is that it balanced that line of entertainment, but also of violence, like you just pointed out. Like right there where it was in that perfect spot. And you even saw, like Tuchel pointed out in his post-game interview where it was funny, they asked both coaches to talk about what happened. And they didn't really say anything, but Tuchel specifically was like, nothing bad happened. Yeah. Like no one got hurt. And I kind of got that same sentiment. I was like, ultimately it was a little rowdy and it was emotional, but that's the game. That's football. I love that Tuchel echoed that. And Conte, a little bit more in a more prideful way, was just like, I'm not going to talk about it. Nothing.
Yeah.
It's just that same idea, man. He didn't want to talk about it. He's moving on, but there's bad blood between them, especially since Conte followed it up by posting on his Instagram story.
No way. What did he say?
And he posted the video of Tuchel running across the field right by him. Yeah. And you can see in the video that Conte actually didn't notice him running past him. Okay. And so Conte says in the description or in the little title he put in the Instagram story, he says, "You're lucky I didn't see you running by me. If I hadn't seen you, I would have tripped you,or some shit like that." Yeah. I'm just like, dude, like this is gonna become a battle of emojis at one point, man.
That's not even some Elon Musk shit. No, but it's like, and that's the thing though. He's not even like insulting Tuchel. Yeah. He's just saying, "Hey, watch out when next time you play us." Essentially. And I love that. It never crossed that line of we have to find them, or we have to put a stop to this. It never really did, but it got at that perfect boiling point that I love, man. I need more of this, man. I want more of this.
I love that it's so early into the season because now we have more reason to look forward to those matchups that are going to happen between them. Yeah. The build-up's going to be better. And there's a chance we might see them play each other a couple more times this season. Yeah. So, dude, I'm so excited. And shout out to these two for making that game so goddamn entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
So just staying in the Premier League because, man, this has been a jam-packed week full of drama. real quickly today, Darwin Nunez got sent off against Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Had himself a pretty bad game. Not gonna lie.
Pretty bad game. Did he? I didn't see the game.
Yeah.
I was at work. Did he start?
He started this time around.
Okay.
Yeah. They're playing at Anfield against Crystal Palace, and he had several chances where he just basically scuffed them.
Ooh,
and he started getting frustrated, and ultimately the Crystal Palace center back Anderson that I had mentioned on our previous podcast riled him up a little bit. He shoved him once, and then I guess just Darwin in that classic South American vigor kind of got up in Anderson's face, but in a really aggressive way, kind of pushed him with his head in a way, or almost like a mini version of what Zidane did to Materazzi in the World Cup. He got his head in there.
Yeah.
And direct red card. You can't do that in the Prem.
You can't. Any sort of like, even if it's minor, direct head contact, it's a red.
Yeah, Liverpool then go on to be down 10 men, which is something you don't usually see Liverpool do. True. Luis Diaz, goal of the season so far. Ooh. Goal of the season so far, man. Takes on like 3-4 guys, out of the box shot, top right corner, beautiful finish, ties the game. But after that, Liverpool just couldn't break Crystal Palace's defense. 1-1 tie, and that's 2 points out of the first 2 games from my beautiful, beautiful Liverpool, man.
Yeah.
And I just real quickly wanted to just remark on this, man. Like I'm a little disappointed, but I'm also not, because there's this energy I've felt personally with this Liverpool side that we're almost like running out of gas, man. Like the effort and energy that it took to be so clinical and this rock star style of football these past few years, it's taken its toll a little bit. Yeah. It's tough to expect them to do the same thing again.
Oh, yeah.
And we're seeing it with the team themselves. Like they've gotten unlucky once again, but already injuries are starting to pile up with the team. Thiago, Firmino, Jota, all out because of injuries this early into the season. You got to start Milner in the midfield because of it. It's been a lot. And so I'm a little glad that I could put my bias aside and predict that Man City would win the Premier League a few weeks ago, because it's already looking that way, man.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. The thing is, though, it's natural. Yeah. Right. I don't think you can be upset by this, especially considering the transfers that City have made over these last 2 seasons. Yes, they've let go of some players. We've already analyzed all that. But for the most part, City are specifically built to win this league. So if you're a Liverpool side that is running out of gas, and let's say they are, it's almost expected.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, and that's why I don't feel that disappointed. But, it's early in the season. It's early.
It's very
2 ties.
early.
We didn't lose. Yeah. 2 ties. A little underwhelming, but that doesn't mean that they can.
It can't be turned around.
A month from now, we're on a 5-game winning streak, and we're feeling good again. So not giving up, but just I'm not that outraged with the ties as I feel that most Liverpool fans are. Yeah. One fan base that is completely justified in their outrage is Manchester United.
Oh, yeah.
Who we have to talk about this team and the turmoil that's going on at that club right now. It's funny because we brought this up when Ralph Rangnick got hired. We were in the early days of the pod, man. We were babies.
I remember this.
We were babies. The Give and Go is early episodes. Only true fans would know about this because it was like our 3rd episode. Our 3rd shoot was at the time that Ralph Rangnick got hired.
Yes.
And, I might have to bring those TikToks back up because we were spot on about Man United, man.
What did we say?
So, one thing that we both pointed out was that this is beyond a player-to-player issue. This is a board issue. The people in charge of the club are the ones that need revamping in order for there to be any sort of success at Manchester United. Combined with the fact that yes, there are a ton of players in that team, in that system that just don't fit at all, that ruin the chemistry of the team, and that ultimately aren't good pieces for Manchester United to have. And so this combination of bad players, bad management, that is culminating in an ugly debacle of football that sees Brentford face up against Manchester United at home and put on a goddamn show.
Beautiful, man.
Just puts football Twitter through the fucking.
I got chills, honestly.
Shitter,
when they scored their 3rd goal, I was like, "This is actually happening, man." I was like, "Wow, this is why I watch football." Moments like these.
No, and I want to make sure. This is the first thing I said after the game. I was like, I gotta make sure to give Brentford credit, man.
Oh,
I'm not gonna let Manchester United take any sort of limelight from them because Brentford was clinical. They were creative and tactically, man. I loved how they put specifically Christian Eriksen in really bad positions to succeed, considering that they had lost them this summer to Manchester United specifically. Yeah. They put him through hell that game, man. And honestly, I'm a little peeved at Ten Hag for not adjusting that early enough. Ivan Toney and what was the other? De Silva.
Josh De Silva.
Yeah, was very clinical and dangerous up front.
Oh, yeah.
And they just had this energy to them that we're starting to see now more often from Brentford. You know, last year they had those really important ties with Arsenal, where they beat Arsenal in the opening game, where they faced off against Liverpool and tied them at home. Yeah. They've had these really impressive results. And I think there's just something cooking there in Thomas Frank's side that I'm really excited about, and that I hope that they can, for the rest of the season, continue doing and ultimately culminate in a secured spot in the Premier League once again.
Yeah, we had talked about, these sophomore sides. How are they going to do? Because although Brentford did have a very good season, to kind of maintain that energy, to have belief in the tactics of Thomas Frank, it still takes a lot of doing in the toughest league in the world. But for them to have the start that they've had right now, it looks good. Yeah. It looks really, really good. Potentially to where maybe they stay in the Prem for another couple years, man. Maybe even longer, but we'll get there later. So, yeah, I'm really, really impressed with Brentford's start so far. And this game was just like the perfect culmination of all the hard work that they'd put in last season. Because it's Brentford football at this point. It's what they do. It's how they play. And let's see if it's Premier League made, if it can last. Because, man, I love watching it. But, you don't see a lot of these type of, like, purely counterattacking sides or these purely tactical sides necessarily succeed in the Premier League. And I guess by succeed, I mean, like, break into that top 7, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's really tough for teams like that to actually have a 38-game season success. But, hey, I love what Brentford are doing. I'm really curious to see how they go. But to go back to Manchester United, man, yeah, I remember we were spot on about the Rangnick appointing, because I remember a lot of people were like, okay, this is more of a mastermind. This is more of like a guy who can drop a play on a board. Yeah. And I was just like, this guy doesn't have the resume to coach Manchester United. I don't care how smart this guy is or how innovative he was in the Bundesliga. He never really had the results to prove it, not that much. So for him to go to a supposedly big club in Manchester United, I was like, this is weird. And I remember also saying that he was only going to be the coach temporarily and then he's going to go to sporting director. Now he's not even that. No. He's just completely outside of the club. So that just echoes the point of this club is just poorly run. Nothing's making sense on the board. And these players feel that. They have no belief probably in who's coaching them. They have no belief in who's giving them their salary. They have no belief in... They just have no belief in each other at this point, man. It's really, really bad. This team is just down. Emotionally, they are down. And you can see it out on the football pitch. De Gea used to be De Gea used to be one of the best keepers in the world, and he's a shadow of what he used to be. You can't even consider him to be like top 20 keepers anymore, man. Yeah. He's just gone. He's an average keeper now, and I've never seen a blunder like that bad. Dude, from what used to be a top keeper.
Yeah, and I've heard people point it out, and I gotta agree that like. That's something you don't even see like in the second division.
No, dude.
This isn't even like professional shit.
Yeah.
That's like schoolboy shit errors that he's doing, man.
It's really bad, man.
And I also think like with De Gea, like, does this mean that do you see him starting the World Cup for Spain?
Oh, dude, good question.
Did they bring in someone like Simon into the back line?
Right.
Did they get a replacement there? Because in terms of confidence, man, if this continues going, De Gea might lose his starting spot at Man U, but he might even lose it with Spain. Bro.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm going to go and say right now, he's probably not going to start, because it'll be easy for the Spanish coach to be like, you're not playing well, but also your club's not performing well, so I'm just going to play a better keeper that's in more informed. Yeah. So I don't even think at that point it'll be personal for De Gea. I'm sure it'll hurt.
I get it, coach.
Yeah. He'll just be like, yeah, you're right. You make some good points. Yeah. So, yeah, no, you're right. No more De Gea. He's done.
But you're right about the whole the state of the club. It's horrendous, dude. It's horrendous. And I mean, thinking moving forward is, how do you fix this? How do you get out of this situation? You look at how the Glazers, the Americans, as they put it, have guided this club since their inclusion in, I think, 2005. I mean, really, it was only 5 years of more success, but it was continued success from what Sir Alex Ferguson had already built at the club. Yeah. The 2010 start, and that's when we start watching football heavy. Yeah, is the 2010s. I honestly can't remember a good Manchester United side, man.
Yeah, I can.
I was a kid when they were good. Yeah. And so to see that continuation of depressing football and underwhelming football, it's tough to see, man. It really is, because of how big of a name Manchester United could be, and also in terms of like a worldwide view, how popular they are. To see them not fulfill that that need, that gap in terms of talent and quality, it's depressing, man.
It's depressing. It really is. Yeah, it's so depressing because for the last, let's just say 10 years, it's been bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. Just appointing David Moyes was interesting. He was on the rise with Everton, but was he the guy that you wanted to take over Sir Alex Ferguson? Yeah. He had a lot of success, but it was with a mid-table team. And I know Everton were really good back then. I understand that. But you have to think like a big club. Big clubs sign big managers. Like Madrid only signing like Zidane. I know I didn't have a lot of experience at that time, but he was such a big player. And he was Real Madrid. And then when they were like, you know what, no more Zidane, let's just get Carlo Ancelotti back. Yeah. That's what they do. Manchester United had so many opportunities to make so many good decisions. Jose Mourinho, when they did get him, honestly, a good appointment.
It's probably the best phase they've had since.
It was the best phase, but people were so critical of the way that they were playing that ultimately the players were just like, we don't want Mourinho anymore, and then he left. So that kind of tells you the toxicity of the players. And then when they sign Ragnick, it's just like, that's not big club mentality. They should have gotten a guy like Conte when he was on the market. If you're really thinking about, we need to go back to what we were back in those mid-2000s, you have to think like a big club. And getting a guy like Antonio Conte would have been a big club move. But instead they just didn't do that. And the thing is, getting a guy like Erik ten Hag it's also not a big club move because Ten Hag just isn't proven. He had so much time to build his Ajax squad to ultimately was a fantastic team. But the thing is, if you want to bring in a guy like Erik ten Hag, you have to think 4 or 5 years because he has to be able to build his own squad. And you can't build a squad over the course of 1 or even half a season. To bring in a guy like Ten Hag, you cannot expect immediate success. If you want immediate success, you have to bring in a guy who already knows how to win at a very big club. So Ten Hag is an interesting move. And it could work, but do Man U have the patience? Do they? Well, and if so, then why even hire him? And that's why I'm saying bad decision. Yeah. If you don't have the patience, do not hire him, and they hired him.
And that points out the issue of Manchester United, which comes down to the inability to commit to a rebuild. Yes. You see it across all of sports, man. Yes. NBA, NFL, now football. That if you're a bad team or if you're heading towards that direction, you have to anticipate a rebuilding period. You have to anticipate a period where you might be down for a bit, but it's with the hopes that you'll become better over the future. You make the right moves, you set the proper foundation, and then you build off of it. I think an example that we're seeing right now is Barcelona. How they essentially had a little small rebuild this past year with the inclusion of Xavi, bringing in those Barcelona values that they need.
Exactly.
And then in the transfer window, doing the right moves, making the right signings so that they can fit an overall system.
Oh, yeah.
Manchester United's problem for the past 10 years is almost the same as like the fucking Knicks in the NBA, where they just can't commit to a full rebuild. Yeah. They like half-ass it.
Yeah, they do.
They try to bring in a guy like Erik ten Hag, or they try to bring in a Jose Mourinho, or a big name, or whoever it is, or they try to make that big summer signing that will just save them from this process. Yeah. But we've seen it time and time again that you can't finesse this. You can't shortcut this. This is something that you have to go through. Yeah. You have to start giving your young players minutes. You have to start setting a foundation of a new system in place, a new way to win, a new way to play football.
Yeah.
None of that is happening at Manchester United. And that the inability to do that is what's hurting them now. And it's what's going to continue hurting them for the foreseeable future because I don't think they have the patience for a rebuild, man. That's the tough part. Barcelona somehow ultimately managed to do it despite them constantly being shitted on the media, constantly being talked about in a negative way.
Yeah.
They went through it last year. And I know Barca fans can back this. They had a tough season. I mean, they ended up in the Europa League, for God's sakes.
Right.
Like, they had to go through it. But that's part of it. Now things are looking upwards for them. It's looking a lot better.
It is.
Manchester United has to do the same thing, man. They have to. Yeah. And I just don't know if the fact that they are owned by the Glazers, I don't know if they have that same outlook. I don't know if they think that they can just buy their way out of this still, knowing that this is a big name, this is a big club. What's it going to take for the Glazers and the people in the front office to realize that this is an issue and that it needs to be corrected? Otherwise, they're going to be in hell for the next decade.
Yeah. No, incredible point. Incredible point because it makes complete sense. You vocalize that perfectly because you're right. It has ultimately been an inability to commit to a rebuild. And I think the only way that they do this right, starting now, is, and it just kind of hit me, they have to give Ten Hag 3-4 years.
Yeah.
And they have to basically think of themselves as truly a club in rebuild. They have to think of themselves as a club that cannot compete with the best teams anymore. They have to think of themselves virtually as a mid-table team. Damn. Nothing more.
Yeah.
And they have to give Ten Hag the tools to succeed in long term. So this transfer window was, honestly, I thought horrendous for Manchester United. I thought it was really bad. Yeah, I mean, they got 2 defenders when they really needed a midfield rebuild, when they lost like 2 big midfielders in Matic and Pogba. And the goals weren't really coming from anybody except Cristiano Ronaldo, and they didn't really get anybody else. They're relying on the same old guard that they've been relying on for the last 5 years, who have proven that they can't score on a consistent basis against the best opponents in the Premier League. So the team is virtually the same. So they just need to believe in Ten Hag, and he needs to build what he did at Ajax. He needs to now have that same faith in him to do the same thing in Manchester United. But it took Ten Hag like 3-4 years to build that Ajax. It will take the same minimum amount of time for him to build a competitive Manchester United. So that's what it is. It's just going to be a mentality shift. United are no longer a big club, and they have to think like that.
So here's a connection I can make between Manchester United and the team I want to talk about next. Manchester United is rumored to apparently want to get Frankie de Jong from Barcelona.
They've been rumored for 8 months.
It has been a long time rumor at this point. And so I want to shift over to Barcelona, who I mentioned earlier, because I saw, we both saw.
Yeah.
You saw it too? The game against Rayo Vallecano. For me, one of the biggest takeaways is Barcelona can't lose Frankie de Jong. They can't.
Yeah.
I loved his appearance in this game. I love how he came into it and just immediately started dominating the midfield, started breaking lines, started forcing the attack.
Yeah.
And ultimately just gave Barcelona that energy that they needed their whole game because, I mean, I've been reading what Barcelona fans are saying. I got to say I agree with it, where that Gavi, Pedri, Busquets midfield, I don't think it fully works. I think individually it's very good, but I think the inclusion of Gavi and Pedri, I don't know if they can coexist just yet. I think that Barcelona is better off if one of them are replaced with Frankie de Jong. At least there's that attack-minded sense and that ability to penetrate lines, at least a lot more efficiently than I think either one of those two players can do right now.
Yeah.
And I liked what I saw from Barcelona in that sense, but still, they couldn't get a goal. They couldn't finish the game. What were your initial takes from the game? What was the thing that stood out to you the most?
My initial take from this game was, for me, this is La Liga at its best. You have a second-place team who's always vying for the championship in Spain, facing a team who's just in their second year, a team whose budget is probably 50 times less that of Barcelona, and they're able to go toe-to-toe, not even just result-wise, but actually technically. This Rayo midfield looks fun to play. Like if I was a professional footballer, I'd love to be on that Rayo team.
Yeah.
I'd love to play for them. Even if I never won anything in my career, I'd be like, at least I'm playing good football.
Yeah, I'm playing for Rayo, man.
Well,
no, to add to that, the player that I wanted to highlight in this entire game, the one that stood out to me the most, wasn't a Barcelona player, man. It was Pathé Ciss from Senegal. 25 years old. He's been at Rayo for a couple of years.
Yes.
And from what I've read, this was the first time that he really caught my eye. But from what I've read, he's been doing this for about 2 seasons now.
Yes.
A really good decision maker, good on the ball. He's stable, but he's also just, dude, I was watching him the whole game and I was like, this guy isn't stepping a foot wrong. Every single decision he makes is the right decision. He's getting out of tough situations, and he's just forcing that ball forward up to his offensive players. And that's exactly what you need in a type of game where Barcelona is constantly just putting pressure on you.
Yeah.
You need the ability to get the ball back, but then to keep it, make a decision, get rid of it, and progress the ball forward.
Yeah.
He did that. Yeah, relief.
Yes.
He is a relief type of player.
Yes.
And I'm really excited about him because I was watching him. I was like, holy shit, man. Yeah. This guy is on Senegal's bench. And I hope
he doesn't play.
I hope that maybe there's some sort of inclusion there. They do have a good midfield already.
Yeah.
But he was my biggest takeaway, man. Big Pathé Ciss fan. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
And also he looks like he could be a side character in Avatar, man. A fucking warrior, dude.
He has what I like to call deceptive flair. Oh. So you think he's gonna do one thing, but he does the other. But it doesn't look It doesn't look fancy.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like Pedri. Like we've said, Gavi has a generational touch. But that's because Gavi makes football look sexy, right?
Yeah.
So does Pedri. They just the way that they touch the ball, the way they pass, the way they dribble, just looks fluid. It looks beautiful. Cease is able to have the exact same fluidity. He just doesn't look like it.
You're right.
Yeah.
He's a little taller on the ball.
He's just
too.
taller, he's lanky,
Yeah.
but his skill level is insane.
Yeah.
And so he's able to get the exact same job done with that ball relief, the ability to dribble through two players if he has to. He honestly has it all. So, but he just does it in his own way.
Yeah.
It's that beautiful football personality that he has. And that's what I really, really loved about Cease. And honestly, if you think about the game as a whole, for me, Rayo had the best chance with Alvaro Garcia.
Yeah.
Perfect cutback. Takes one touch, was a little heavy, that gave Ter Stegen enough chance to actually close him down. Ultimately, the shot did get blocked. Could have made the pass to Camelo. I don't know. It was a for me, it was the clearest chance of the game. Yeah. And not only that, Rayo had another second, I would say half chance where Sergio Camelo actually got through on the line. And it was kind of like a one-on-one, although the defender eventually did catch up to him. Did his own cutback. Ultimately, just couldn't get that shot off, though. Not the way that he wanted to. So, but for me, I thought Rayo, their game plan was perfect. Let's possess the ball when we can, knowing that they're not going to get a lot of the ball. And let's just play our own football and craft a chance. And they crafted a couple of good chances, man.
If I was a Rayo fan, I'd be very proud with that.
I'd be
very
so proud, man.
And I'm excited to check back on them throughout the season because, like we said, that's why you watch La Liga. For games like that, when they face up against the Barcelonas, the Real Madrids of the league, you occasionally see performances like this from the small level teams. And I love seeing it. Now, a question I have is Barcelona's front three. We saw Rafinha start the game alongside Lewandowski and Dembele. Though they showed signs of moments, of talent that we already knew they had, moments where they could potentially score a banger. We didn't ultimately see that culminate in any sort of goals, man.
Oh, dude,
0 goals.
Low key, and I'll be a little critical here, but with a grain of salt because it is the first game of the season. So I'll be a little critical here. Yeah, I know. I thought Dembele and Rafinha were sloppy. I thought they were genuinely sloppy.
I thought Dembele was, man.
Yeah.
He was getting, but I also thought he was getting really tired towards the end of it, man.
Yeah, and the thing is, you see what they can do. That's why I'm not gonna say Barcelona's doomed, because they're not. Barcelona, they have an incredible 11. If that's their 11, if you don't include what they have on the bench, if that's their 11, that's a competitive team that can pretty much play, I would say, against anybody. But on the day against Rayo, Dembele and Rafinha were sloppy. Yeah. They were. I thought they were both sloppy. Dembele, again, he had some good cutbacks. His finishing was bad. Or he would get through one-on-one, and then his passing was bad. For me, Rafinha was honestly the same, man. I was actually expecting Rafinha to have a great game because he was so good for Leeds, so effective. But he
great
really
preseason too.
Yeah, exactly. That front three had a great preseason. So I was expecting Rafinha to honestly have a field day with these Rayo defenders. Ultimately, he just couldn't get going. Lewandowski, I thought when he had good touches, they were really, really good, which is a good sign for him because that means when the rest of his midfielders are on it and feeding him properly, I think Leva is going to be fine. So, yes, he didn't really get any good chances. Yes, he didn't really do anything on the ball as much, but I'm not worried about Lewandowski. Not yet. Yeah. To talk about Barcelona as a whole, though, man, again, I'll be a little critical. They were slow. I thought in their build-up, they were very, very slow. They would get the ball, and they would slow it down. They would basically set up a play and then execute it. But by that time, Rayo's backline already set up to defend it. And they did that through the entire 90 minutes. It took a late Frankie de Jong substitution for that to change. And even then, the last 5 minutes of the game, Rayo closed it out. So for me, Barcelona were slow with the pace of the game, and they should have played a lot quicker. I wanted a lot more pace, a lot more aggression going forward. I'm talking like the way that Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal attack the box. Yeah. I need Barcelona to have that same vigor when they go forward. If they would have done that, I think they would have ultimately broken Rayo because at that point, Rayo were not seeing any of the ball in the last 20 minutes of the game. Yeah. So if Barcelona would have just kept knocking, they would have gotten through and knocking with pace, as we saw their rivals Madrid ultimately get the job done because Madrid were able to really knock on that game. We can talk about that later, but I think Barcelona were slow on the ball going forward.
But I think that's something that's going to happen with them doing the most transfers that any team did in Europe. The fact that they had so many players revamped, so many inclusions into the squad. Offensively, 2 of 3 players weren't there last year. With Dembele,
yes, that's true.
Dembele, you could argue, was there half the season with his injuries. Back line, they had Christensen starting. It felt like a lot of the pieces around the team just weren't there fully in terms of chemistry. And I feel like that's what they're trying to figure out right now. Is they're trying to figure out how the hell do we involve all these players into our system. They tried throwing in Kessié at one point into the mix. De Jong came in. Like, it felt like it was a team just trying to figure itself out. And one of the effects of that is slower football, is more sloppy football.
Right.
A lack of chemistry.
Exactly.
So the potential I'm seeing is good.
Yes.
But what we saw on the day, a little underwhelming.
Yeah.
Because preseason, they seem fine.
Yeah. And I think we can also give a lot of praise to Rayo for truly competing. Like, they look really good from a Rayo perspective. Yeah. So I think it honestly probably caught Barcelona off guard, honestly. Yeah. But to actually kind of echo that point, dude, Barcelona's bench is crazy stacked. But, like, I would say in a financially bad way. How are they paying 22 starters, essentially?
Yeah.
Every single player on that bench could start on any other team in La Liga, essentially.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I love the transfers that they made this summer, but they should have offloaded some of these guys, man. I mean, you had Memphis Depay, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Ferran Torres, all on the bench. And the thing is, Xavi's go-to front three might be Rafinha, Lewandowski, and Dembele. Depay, Ferran Torres, and Aubameyang.
They might not see that many
minutes, man. So I'm just like, hey, like, okay.
Yeah.
And then even Kessie, like, if Xavi decides to go with this Pedri-Gavi combination, it'll be tough for Kessie to ultimately replace Busquets right now. So I'm just like, damn, like.
That's an AC Milan pivotal part of the team winning, like, that trophy last season. Like, that's just there on the bench for them now.
Exactly, man.
Yeah, Piqué on the bench as well.
Sergio Roberto, who's been starting for Barcelona for 6 years now. Yeah. You have so much starting talent on that bench.
Ansu Fati,
bro. Technically, Mirjam Pjanic.
Yeah.
Not that he plays anymore, but he's there. And he could start at any other team, man. Yeah. So I'm just like, Barcelona, get your finances in order.
It's almost too good to be true. Like, it's almost too. Yeah, it's too much.
It's too much, man. You can't make everybody on that team ultimately happy. And so I'm just like,
in terms of an emotional level, Xavi's gonna have to put on a masterclass this season.
Yeah,
with the
true
egos he's gonna have to manage, dude. Jesus Christ, man. Like, that's why you offload some players, so he doesn't have to deal with that stress, man. Aubameyang's gonna be knocking on his office like, hey, coach, man, it's been a couple of games since I started. I still got it in me, coach. Believe me.
Or like, dude, Frankie De Jong was on the bench.
Yeah.
If he doesn't go to Manchester United at the end of this month, he's gonna have to somehow make Busquets, Kessie, and De Jong happy.
Yeah.
That's just the midfield. And if you put on one of those guys, Gavi or Pedri is gonna be like, come on, coach, play me. I'm good enough to play.
Especially when they're playing for a national team. So, like,
exactly,
dude, this is gonna be more than a tactical sense. Xavi's got himself a job this season, man.
Yeah.
The other hand, we had La Liga defending champions Real Madrid defeat Almeria 2-1.
Yeah,
which is kind of dope, man. I was watching it and I was like, it's always nice to see a team, to see the players' eyes just light up at the chance of maybe beating Real Madrid, man.
Yeah.
Because you saw it in full display. Almeria, that home crowd, was going nuts after an early goal. But sometimes an early goal is a curse, man. Yeah. Sometimes an early goal is a sign of bad things to come, man.
Yeah.
Because once that goal went in, 5 minutes in, I was like, God damn it, man. This couldn't happen like at the 80th minute or some shit. 5 minutes is basically a brand new game. Yeah. Real Madrid's going to take care of this. It's done.
Yeah.
And what went on to happen was Real Madrid once again showing their dominance in this league, but also showing their class. Alaba coming on.
What a free kick,
calling
dude.
His boy on, comes in and literally perfectly placed free kick.
Beautiful, man.
I love it when it hits the post and just goes in like that. Leaves when the keeper doesn't even dive for it. It's a beautiful thing to see, man.
Yeah, I think no matter what Almeria would have done, I do think Madrid would have gotten the win. Because it's what they've been doing for, especially last year when they were comeback city with Madrid, man. Yeah. Every big game, Madrid found a way to win. Yeah. They're the champions of Spain. It's what they do. Ultimately, it's the same team as last year. plus a couple of good additions. So I expect Madrid to honestly be the exact same that they were last year. They look hungry. They looked, even when they went down 1-0, they calmed down and they ultimately dominated the game. One thing I think two things caught my eye. So let's start with Madrid. I'd say, and it was a concern of mine going into it, and I'm really curious to see how this develops because it's still unknown for me, is ultimately who does Ancelotti trust in that midfield. And I said, even though they have Camavinga, and even though they got maybe one of the better young midfielders in the world in Tchouaméni, I still think at the end of the day, when Ancelotti goes to sleep at night, he's like, I'm starting Kroos, Modric, and Casemiro.
Yeah.
No matter what. And I think we're going to see the same thing. But that just shows you the true class of those three midfielders that I just named. The true class. Modric defied his age last year. Kroos is still playing at a very high level. And Casemiro's virtually irreplaceable at this point. Come from a defensive midfielder, destroyer midfielder type of position. You really can't replace that. They have become that Madrid midfield. And I'm okay with that. And I'm interested to see if how Camavinga and Tchouaméni take that, coming from teams where they're the star player. And I know Camavinga has been here for a year now. Tchouaméni, this is his first time with Madrid. I'm interested to see what they do, Do they truly learn from it? Or are they like, I should be playing, or, I don't know. They're very young, so who knows? But the thing is, bro, Modric could start for the next 3 years, I think. It doesn't look like he's
40 in 3 years, I think. Man.
Yeah, I know.
37,
I know.
That's what I saw.
But his class is just crazy. Yeah. He's basically the midfield version of Messi. Like the true midfield version of where, like, no matter how old he gets, Modric will still be able to outdo you because of his technical ability. So virtually, he'll only stop playing when he retires.
Damn,
yeah, so
man.
like to be behind that
starting spot, he'll only give it up when he quits the game of football, man. It will never happen naturally.
Yeah, so to be behind that, I'm just like, that's a little annoying because I would like to see Tchouaméni play 90 minutes on a weekly basis. I'm not going to see that. It was the same thing with Camavinga. When Camavinga went to Madrid, I was like, I wish he would stay in France so I could see him on a weekly basis.
Right.
I mean, I'm just not going to get that in Madrid. But again, it's because of the pure class that is in that Madrid midfield.
The team and also the weight of the jersey is a heavy one. So
you
got to earn that right almost. Like starting means more at Real Madrid than anywhere else. So I think that's kind of what's at play here.
Yeah.
You got to be proven to earn that starting spot. And like you said, it's always going to be Modric, Kroos, and Casemiro. Always, man.
And that's why I think it'll be cool to see that story develop because what if Tchouaméni, really takes it? Yeah. He's like, you know what? This is a challenge for me, and I'm just going to improve my technical ability, improve my positioning, improve my IQ, and it just ultimately makes him one of the best midfielders in the world.
Well, I think that's what we saw from Camavinga because last season when he got the chance, he had incredible moments. Man City at home in the semifinal, he was part of that crazy comeback, sending in really good balls. Like that attitude's the right attitude, I think. The idea of like, okay, I may not get as much time as I would want, but when I do get the opportunity, like I have an opportunity to make some memorable moments, wearing this beautiful jersey, and becoming a legend already. Like, I think another player for Real Madrid, Valverde, is who I was watching. Had so many opportunities, so many shots on target. And I'm just saying that I think that once he perfects his finishing, if he does do that, he'll be a complete player. Yeah. I think outside of that, he is good to go in this league and just in world football in general. I think he's a really good player, but his finishing, man, if he can just fix that, if he can become a little bit more clinical, a little bit more efficient, that's going to be a hell of a player right there.
Hell of a player. Yeah. And on the other side, this game really, really proved it to me. And the thing is, it proved it to me last year. Vinicius Jr., man, it's not a matter of if he's going to break through into the box. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah.
No matter who he's playing, he's going to get into the box, beating a player one-on-one at least once. At least.
What an assurance. Jesus Christ.
That's a crazy assurance. Because, think of how many players are truly that good one-on-one nowadays. Not that many. Vinicius has mastered that wing one-on-one play. Truly mastered it, man, because it's at the point where at least once over the course of 90 minutes, he's going to completely burn a player, and he's going to be through on goal to either shoot or make a very decisive pass. And that is deadly.
That's why it's so hard to guard, man. Because he can beat you on speed.
Yep.
He can beat you with flair, and he can beat you with his decision making.
Yeah, and he's good with 1-2s.
Yeah.
He's actually smart.
Yeah.
So it's like you're going to be beaten. No matter how good of a fullback you have, you're going to be beaten.
The moment you get him to release the ball, he's handing it off to more often than usual. It's Benzema, you know.
Yes,
but
bro.
Ballon d'Or winner, Benzema.
Exactly.
So like that's an insane mix right there that people have to deal with on a consistent basis. Yeah. And Vinicius is taking full advantage of who he has beside him, but also what he can do with the skill set.
Yeah, and I guess to finish this point for Madrid, I think maybe a month ago when we were talking about maybe like La Liga predictions or something, or we got a question that was like, can Madrid win for the next 5 years in Spain? And we said ultimately, they'll probably get close to that because this Madrid team just looks so sound. They don't look like they're getting tired. They look tactically very impressive. They add good components to their squad. And when you look at Atletico and Barcelona, who have very good squads, and Barcelona specifically, who's been really trying to bolster their squad with excellent talent, there's still that question of chemistry, or there's still that question of, can we bring it together to actually compete?
How long will it take to bring it
How long will it take? So I think Madrid are looking good, especially this year, maybe even next year. But definitely watch out for Barcelona and Atleti because they're always going to be there. Yeah. Always.
I think my final take on this is that, because we haven't given our La Liga predictions, I do have Real Madrid winning it this year.
I do too.
Yeah,
I do too.
I have them because basically because of that, because I'm more secured in knowing that Real Madrid from the get-go can get the points they need. Whereas Barcelona, I think at one point they're going to reach a level where they'll almost match Real Madrid, but I don't know how long it's going to take them to reach that level. Yeah. It could be 5 games into the season. It could be 15 games into the season. And by then, Real Madrid might have already had the lead. So I think Real Madrid is ultimately going to win the league, but at least it'll be a lot closer than last year, I think. Because of Barcelona's improvement and Atletico also kind of having a shaky year last season, potentially having a better season as well.
Yeah, and I'll be really looking forward to those big games where we have Villarreal, Sevilla, Barcelona, and Atletico playing Madrid. Because if they can match Madrid, if they can match them, that's when Madrid will lose points. And maybe that'll make it closer for Barcelona to really catch up to them once Barcelona really start firing on all cylinders. But to finish the point on this game, I have to get in this take.
What you got here?
Have to get in this take, man. It's the diminutive forward for Almeria, Largi Ramazani. Love him. I've never seen him play. Obviously, this was Almeria just got promoted, by the way. Never seen him play. Apparently, he was in Manchester United's ranks at one point when he was like 16.
That's good to hear.
But he was like, you know what? I'm going to go to Spain and make a name for myself. And he's the guy who ultimately broke the deadlock within the first 5 minutes. Man. Beautiful finish. But what I really love about this guy's incredible amount of flair and his speed. Insane speed. But not only that, the mobility, man. He's like a wide receiver. No, I'm not even kidding. If you watch that highlight, he's running on the outside once he beats that offside trap. And then once he sees that the ball is curling inside, without missing a beat, he immediately moves the trajectory of his motion towards goal. And that ball just virtually falls into his lap. It was perfect off the ball movement. I really encourage people to go see that play specifically in slow motion from all angles because Ramazani read that ball perfectly. One touch, finish, 1-0. First goal of his top flight professional career in his debut. Love it.
Yeah,
absolutely love it.
I thought he reminded me a lot of Adama Traore. And the ability to be explosive.
So explosive.
But like a wide receiver, he just switches his direction seamlessly. And that's a fucking skill, man. That's a fucking skill.
There was a point when he was up against Nacho, and he was off the ball, and he was literally going in and out, trying to juke him off the ball. And I was like, I love that.
Holy shit.
You don't see
this
that
is revolutionary.
Really. Yeah, no, it's like he might change the game low key. So I'll be just on a personal basis seeing how Ramazani does, because if he could get a big signing after having a good season this year, man, I think he'd go
proper
off.
Service, bro.
Yeah,
give him proper service and give him Anderson from Crystal Palace. Yeah, so big on, man, to just feed him and throw in those long balls.
Yeah,
there could be something special there. So we're gonna move over to South America for a bit, do our continental travel as we usually do when we do these podcasts. I want to go to South America now. And something I want to make a weekly thing until eventually they potentially fan out is I want to do a Atletico Tucuman checkup. All right? Every time we shoot, I want to check up how they're doing.
Oh, okay, little checkup.
Yeah, a little checkup where they're at, because we brought them up last week and how they're in the middle of doing something historic.
Yeah.
And since then, they have won a game. They beat, I think it was Cordoba. Córdoba Santiago.
Yeah.
They beat them 1-0 at home, and they continue their lead up top. I think they now have a 3-point lead.
Okay, good.
So 13 games in now instead of 12. That's where we're at with Atletico Tucuman, who potentially could win the Argentine league.
Keep it up.
For the first time in their 100-year-plus history.
Yeah.
Moving on, let's start with the big tournament at hand, the Copa Libertadores. It's now in the semifinals. We have our matchups, man. We have our matchups. It's Vélez Sarsfield against Flamengo, the mighty Flamengo right now against that feisty Argentine squad.
Yeah.
And then Atlético Paranaense against Palmeiras. An all-Brazilian matchup. Palmeiras looking for their third consecutive Copa Libertadores. The matchups are set up. Initial thoughts.
How crazy is it that Palmeiras and Flamengo are in yet again another semifinal, man?
Yeah, man.
That's... I don't know if that's bad, but it is crazy. That is impressive.
I think it's
really impressive.
You know, I mean, I think it's kind of cool because I've been looking at
I
was looking at Copa Libertadores past winners and seeing who has the most trophies, and I was kind of surprised by who was it? Independiente. I think they have like 5 or 6 trophies. They're like one of the most decorated teams in this tournament.
Sure. Since
then, it had been like 30, 40 years since they won. Whereas there's other teams like Boca Juniors, River Plate with like. But what I want to get at is that I'm noticing that in Copa Libertadores, it's not based off of like how in Champions League it's like name. You know, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Real Madrid with 10 plus trophies, Liverpool with 6. Like those are big names. Copa Libertadores is more so phases. It's phases that the tournament goes through. Phases where a team wins, 2, 3, maybe even 4 times, and then they fan out.
Yeah, didn't Flamengo, like, before they won in 2019, they won, like, in the 80s or something, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think
something
it's been
like
a while
that.
for them. But, I mean, the tournament started off with Peñarol winning, like, 4 or 3 times in a row.
Yeah, that Uruguayan dominance.
Yeah, it goes by, the dominance shift. You got Palmeiras dominance right now happening.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
But at time it was like there was earlier in the 2010s there was a good Corinthians squad. Mid 2000s was Sao Paulo. River Plate and Boca Juniors had their phases as well. Like it's so based on phases, and I just thought that was kind of cool. I actually might prefer that over the type of structure that exists in the Champions League in terms of winning and champions, because it's less predictable. And you have like golden eras for each team.
Right. So like it may be true dominance to the point where like it's predictable that they get there, but you're saying it's like it'll only last for 5 years, and then we might not see them for another.
It might be a long time before Palmeiras can do this again. That is cool.
Man. I like that.
Because then another team steps up.
Yeah.
But yeah, Palmeiras is back at it, man. And I think that going off of my experience watching Paranaense play recently, I think Palmeiras is going to win this matchup.
I do think so.
And on the other side, Flamengo against Vélez Sarsfield. I'm actually going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say Vélez Sarsfield wins it, man. I think they win this matchup.
That'd be insane, man.
To talk about the games a little bit, the second leg of Mineiro against Palmeiras. I mean, we're talking about Palmeiras' dominance, but, bro, they were on the ropes. They nearly got eliminated with them getting, I believe, 2 red cards in the game, down to 9 men. Not really questionable cards either, just really bad fouls that gave Mineiro the upper hand, but they couldn't capitalize. Yeah. They just couldn't. They couldn't find the creative outlet they needed to produce a goal, and it ends up going to penalties, and all it takes is one miss, and Mineiro loses the opportunity to beat the gargantuan team that is Palmeiras right now. And Palmeiras somehow, I guess, just shows that championship DNA, gets the victory in Mineiro to go to the semifinal. Did you see that one?
I didn't see it, but I will say Mineiro have been really lackluster in the league, the Brazilian league. I've been watching a lot of Brazilian league more so than the Copa Lib, but they've been really, really lackluster. So to hear that, it almost makes sense, but it's frustrating because I think if Palmeiras had played a better team, probably we may have seen a different outcome than Palmeiras winning. Yeah. So I'm a little frustrated that Mineiro have made it this far into the tournament because they're not doing that well in the league. Yeah. And then the next match was Paranaense against Estudiantes. This was at Estudiantes Stadium. Drama-filled finish because Paranaense in the last minute scored the game-winning goal. On the other side, we had Flamengo just completely dismantled Corinthians, man. Corinthians, we've seen them play before. And we were never convinced. We were not convinced by Corinthians, man. And we're not convinced. And Flamengo just took care of business. Good. They already had a lead going into the match, but it was easy pickings for them. Yeah. And then Vélez Sarsfield against Talleres. Sarsfield had gone into the game up 3-2. And so
the second match came and Talleres was trying to find that game-tying goal, but they just couldn't. Vélez was too good. I like the presence of Prato up top for Vélez. Okay. Those are the semifinal matchups. With these matchups, who do you have going to the final and who do you have winning?
Ultimately, I do think a Brazilian team is going to win this. I just think, and I think we've actually touched on it before. I do think the level of play in the Brazilian league is kind of separating itself fully from all the other leagues in South America, even Argentina. But that's not to say that Vélez don't have a good chance, because I think they do. And you kind of reminded me, there have been pockets of a team that just goes on a run. With Atletico Nacional, I think like in 2015 or 2016. San Lorenzo, when they won the year the Pope was adorned or whatever.
Santos.
Santos had a good run. Santos had a good run with Neymar at one point, and then they just go off. They never come back. No. And so this might be Vélez's chance to do something very similar, where this is it. This is the 11 that takes them to complete glory. And we never see Vélez again, man. But that's what's crazy about the Copa Lib is you're really reminding me of that, is that this happens.
Yeah,
this does happen.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, you know what? Let's go.
Let's go.
So I don't think they'll win it. Ultimately, if I had to,
you're getting me excited, man.
If I had to put money on it, if I'm gambling on who's gonna win the Copa Lib, I'm probably gonna say Flamengo. I think Flamengo will beat Vélez in the semis. And ultimately, they'll probably play Palmeiras, and they'll beat Palmeiras in the final.
I'm going Palmeiras Sarsfield final.
Okay. Going for the dream.
I'm going for the dream. Fuck it, man. Vélez is winning. I got Vélez winning.
If Vélez were playing Palmeiras, I think they could do it. I do think Flamengo's firepower is going to be just too much, man.
How about this? The winner of the Flamengo against Sarsfield semifinal wins the tournament. That's my call.
Done.
I'm just not convinced.
I can bet on that.
Not convinced with Paranaense, and Palmeiras nearly got eliminated to a point that I'm like, you guys almost don't deserve it at this point.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about this last time, but I actually want to go over to La Copa Sudamericana. Because
what's going on over there?
There's something magical happening over there, man.
Okay.
Something magical, man. FBC Melgar from Peru is in the middle of a Cinderella run, going all the way to the semifinal, coming off of a dramatic quarterfinal match. I was actually informed about this through one of our viewers on Instagram. DM me. He was like, "You got to see what's happening in Peru." I'm like, what the hell's happening over there? And it's dope because, I don't want to bring any harsh emotions back, but Peru got eliminated from the World Cup. So you know that the people over there are looking for something to cheer them up. You've got this wonderful story happening right now where they go up against Internacional from Brazil.
Oh, okay.
Big club.
Yeah, big club.
And they tie 0-0 in the first leg.
At home?
In Peru. Home. They were at home in Peru. Second leg, they go to Brazil.
That's crazy. And they got a result?
They have to get a result if they want to continue. It ties 0-0.
Oh.
And throughout the whole game, there had been incredible moments by Melgar's goalkeeper, Caicedo, who is a Peruvian 30-year-old goalkeeper, has made a couple caps for the Peruvian national team. Maybe you've heard of him.
He's the second choice behind Gallese.
Oh, and I get it. Why, man? I see why now.
Yeah.
He was having himself a really good game, right? But then the game goes to penalties. And get this. Internacional get their first 3 penalties saved by Caicedo. Saved? Bro. Saved.
Jeez. 3
clear cut, like he earned those fucking saves. Team's going crazy. Melgar's going crazy. They're like, holy shit, this is gonna happen.
We won.
They make Melgar out of those 3 penalties. Melgar scores 2 out of their first 3, so they miss 1.
Okay.
But then comes the 4th penalty for Internacional.
So 2-0.
It's 2-0. In comes the 4th penalty for Internacional. They have to score it, and they do. So they finally score their first penalty by the 4th kick.
Okay.
It's 2-1, but if Melgar scores this next penalty, they're through, and it's a beautiful finish to the side net. And they get the win. 3-1. Caicedo is being lifted up, pushed up the team, the hero of the squad. I even saw that in the Peruvian news that they welcomed them with open arms and everything. There was fans that back in Peru awaiting their arrival because it's a special story for them, man. I was looking at Peruvian teams' history, and not just Copa Sudamericana, but Conmebol tournaments. And I believe a Peruvian team has only won a Conmebol tournament just once. But also the history at hand was that there had never been a team, a Peruvian team, win an away game in a CONMEBOL tournament.
I believe that.
Yeah, some shit like that. Like I guess in a knockout.
In a knockout phase,
It never been done before. And
I believe that because I would say for the last 10 years that I've been following the Copa Libertadores, Peruvian teams honestly just haven't been able to compete against the best. Even so much so that most Peruvian teams don't even get to the knockout phase of the Libertadores. Again, I don't really know the Sudamericana stats, but yeah, like when it comes to Copa Lib, man, I do not see I don't see Peruvian success. So for them to make a semifinal, that's huge for the nation, huge for the league. I have a little sentimental story about Melgar actually.
What you got?
So when I did my deep dive in 2019. Melgar was in the preliminary stages trying to get into the group stage of the Copa Libertadores. Immediately caught my eye because they play basically how their national team plays. A lot of flair, just a lot of passion, and they kind of leave themselves open, you know? They can concede probably on any day, but you know just by the way that they play, you're going to be proud, and that there's always a chance that maybe they can score. Yeah. They just play really good football, and I remember the goalkeeper was there at the time. I guess he's still there. That's great. And there's another player that caught my eye. His name was Joel Sanchez. And I looked him up because I was like, this guy's good. Like, I really like the way he plays. He has that classic Peruvian flair. You know, he's just that classic Peruvian forward creative midfielder. I was like, who is this guy? He's really talented. And apparently, like in 2016, he had been bought by Tigres. They saw the talent in him.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. But just could never get into Tigres' side. Yeah.
Damn.
So he's like, I just never really played, and then ultimately went back to Peru. And I was like, shit. Like, imagine if he'd gone to like a Puebla or like a Morelia at the time. I think he would have popped off in Liga MX. It's tough to get it, especially in Tuca Ferretti's Tigres side, tough to get in there. So it's just kind of annoying. But to see him play in Peru, I don't know if he plays now anymore. I don't know if he's still there. He might not be. But that was just one of the memories that you reminded me of.
Melgar.
Yeah, Melgar. And they ultimately got into the group stage in 2019 that year. But as I was stating, they just couldn't compete against the top two teams. They were in a group with Palmeiras and San Lorenzo. So they just couldn't compete with the Brazilian Argentines. Yeah. But for them to actually go to Brazil, get a result in a quarterfinal game,
it's huge, man.
It's huge. I'm really happy.
It's a big name.
That's awesome.
And now they got to face off against Independiente del Valle from Ecuador. And on the other side, you have Atletico Goianense against Sao Paulo. And so two Brazilian teams and then an Ecuadorian Peruvian team facing off against each other. But what an achievement it would be for them to win this matchup, go to the fucking final, bro, and face off against like a Sao Paulo. Oh my gosh.
Del Valle is going to be tough. Del Valle is going to be tough. Yeah. So, but hey, anything's possible.
They're in the middle of a magical run, man. So I just want to bring that up.
So I just want to have a little fun here. I've been reading a lot of the comments on my Bundesliga rant, positive, negative, and I've some really interesting stuff, honestly. A lot of people really getting in on it. A lot of people really passionate, heated about what I'm saying. And the thing is, ultimately, I love it. Like I said, I think I've said this before. Anytime that there's a chance to talk about football, I'm here for it. Again, users at home, audience, if you want to leave a comment, whether it's positive, whether it's love, whether it's hate, whether it's negative, I do not care as long as it's about football. Yeah. I really don't mind it because ultimately at the end of the day, what we want to do is we want to talk soccer, bro. We want to talk football.
And I will say that, for maybe this is a little cheat code our users can or our audience can take is that I basically read every YouTube comment we get.
Yeah, same.
I can't say that for TikTok or Instagram because it's just way too much. But if you really want to get our attention, comment on our YouTube videos because I basically read every single one of them. So we're aware. We're aware what you guys are saying. We hear you out. And you want to say something in response to some comments we got?
I do. So this is actually a YouTube comment. Caught my eye, and I want to read a little bit of it and have a little response, have a little rapport, because I think this guy, his name is Darren Cernansky. So first of all, Darren, thank you so much for leaving a comment on the video. I really, really appreciate it. And so let's talk. Let's have some fun here, man. So the reason why I think I specifically picked out this comment is because Darren virtually encapsulates a lot of the idea of people who disagree with me. So within his one comment, he basically speaks for the thousands of people who disagreed with me. So I think this is actually a good comment to kind of encapsulate everybody's opinion. Yeah. And for me to actually have a good response here. I'll go ahead and read at least, I guess, the beginning of it. So first off, he says, wow, let me just say I hope you read this comment because this is one of the most ignorant and biased rants I've ever seen. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. And he starts off by saying this, and this is where I almost lose him a little bit. But he says, if the Bundesliga is a one-team league, then what is Serie A? You know, he says a zero-team league because Dortmund and Leipzig would run Italy. And
let's unpack that.
And I want to dissect that a little bit because what was the first thing that I said when I said whoever criticized the Bundesliga, they always say this one thing.
Yeah, that the rest of the league is competitive.
Exactly. And what we have Darren here saying. Yeah. Saying that if you take out Bayern, the rest of the Bundesliga is one of the best leagues in the world. What's interesting is that if you really listen to my take, I actually didn't criticize the level of the Bundesliga. I criticized the structure of the Bundesliga. I criticized how the league is run. I criticized the mentality of the executives that run each club. One of the best topics that you brought up was how when are Dortmund going to be a big thinking club? And you could basically apply that to the rest of the Bundesliga. And it's funny because I praised Leipzig. I praised them. When they got promoted in 2015, I think it was, I was like, I said in my last rant, this team can compete with Bayern. That's love for the game. That's love for Leipzig. That's truly appreciating their skill. Yeah. And in my rant, I didn't say anything negative about the skill level of the Bundesliga. What I ultimately said was what needs to change in Germany is how the teams think. I'm not at all criticizing the level of play because it's one of the it is top 5 leagues in the world.
Frankfurt just won the Europa League.
Exactly.
There's good talent.
There's great talent. So for me, that actually was the majority of the comments that a lot of people left was like, whoa, the rest of the Bundesliga is really, really good. It's not what I'm criticizing. I'm criticizing the mentality of the clubs, how the league is run, because if you want a team to truly compete with Bayern, something in the upper echelons of the league has to change. Bayern are abusing the system. I did say that, but it's because they can. It's because that they've been doing that for decades, and so nothing's going to change in that way. But the only way it can change is if like a president of the league changes something. That's what I'm criticizing. I'm criticizing the Bundesliga structurally, not skill level wise. Yeah. So that's ultimately what I wanted to say.
I don't think it compares to Serie A in that sense because the Serie A structure has shown that they can formulate 3 to 4 strong teams that can always vie for the title. We saw it last year with AC Milan winning the trophy, but not just that, Juventus didn't even get second. Inter Milan got second.
Right.
The ability to produce talented teams, that's not a question that Bundesliga can do that. But to produce a team that can win the title and that can structurally have a chance is non-existent.
Exactly.
And that exists in other leagues, man. That exists. That's the problem.
Yes, and the thing is, he tries to counter that by saying, well, if you put Bayern in Serie A, it would be the same thing. And he said us casuals would call it a farmers league. Now, first off, Darren, you don't have to start name calling. You don't have to do that because you have no idea how much I love the sport and how much I've dedicated my time to watching this game. But the thing is, I disagree with that point too because you can't use that argument realistically because if you say Bayern were an Italian team, their philosophy would be completely different.
That's true.
They wouldn't have the same players. They wouldn't have the same budget because the league is run completely differently. So you cannot you can have fun with it. You can be like, oh, let me pop Bayern into Serie A right now. Sure. But if you're actually having a realistic argument, you can't say that Bayern would run Italy because they'd be called something different and they'd have a completely different philosophy and a completely different history. And then to go back on that idea of how we called like Dortmund and Leipzig having small club mentality, he says, he's like, well, you can't say that Bayern just take all the good players because Dortmund just signed the best young center back in the world and Leipzig just signed Raum. The thing is, sure, they're signing good talent, doesn't culminate in anything. So I don't care who they're getting. I need them to have a better team structure. I need them to compete. I don't care who they're getting. That's not what I'm criticizing. I'm not criticizing Dortmund's scouting. I actually think they have great scouting. The thing is, I'm criticizing the way that they think. The way that they're so willing to sell their best players as if they don't really mean anything. I mean, the release clause on Haaland was 60 million. They're basically begging for someone to buy him. That is if you think like Athletic Bilbao put $100 million release clauses on their players because they know that if they lose, for example, Iñaki Williams, they'll have nobody to replace him with. They know that. Athletic at least try to be competitive in Spain, and that's why ultimately I think La Liga is a better run league in that sense. I think Germany having a $60 million price tag on Haaland is disrespectful to Haaland considering how good he was already projected to be. Yeah. Ultimately, that told them Dortmund were completely already thinking about selling Haaland the moment they got him, and that. I don't like that.
Yeah, whereas if he had arrived to Bayern wouldn't have thought about selling them at all. He would. That's the thing. Players stay at Bayern too. Dortmund is different where they'll bring in players, but then they churn them out as well. They sell them out with no problem. Yeah. Whereas Bayern will get a world-class player and they'll keep him. And that's a huge difference maker when it comes to the overall direction of a league and deciding who wins a title, man.
Yeah. And it's funny because so many other comments were saying like, oh, well, do these guys not know about the 50+1 rule?
I heard about that.
And that is literally making my argument for me because I'm criticizing that structure. That's what I'm saying. It has to change. Sure, Germany has done this for decades. That's why Bayern are dominating right now, because the structure, the organization of the league has not changed. And Bayern at this point in the modern era are taking full advantage from literally every perspective that they can. And all the other clubs are left helpless. One thing that Darren kind of finishes with that I actually slightly agree with, he says, well, the reason why Milan and Inter Milan have been able to win the leagues recently is because Juve have drastically dropped in quality. I do agree with that. But that's because the Italian league allows that to happen. Imagine if Bayern were bad. I can't.
I don't know what you're saying to me right now.
Exactly. Yeah. But I can see a world where Juve drop for a couple of years. I can see a world where this Milan team don't win the league this year. I can see a world where Inter Milan come back after having not won for a decade. It has happened. I can see that. I can see that happening in France. I can see that happening in England, in Spain, man. I can see it all happening. I cannot see it in Germany the way the league is run today.
And also the fact that if Bayern would have to drop so much, whereas Juventus dropped, but not a lot, but they dropped enough to where over a season-long period, AC Milan and Inter Milan could be the better teams. For a team to be better than Bayern for an entire season, Bayern has to drastically drop, man, like a lot. To the point where I don't know. They have to lose a lot of quality for me to be confident in a team like Dortmund and a team like Leipzig to be able to overcome the 10+ year curse of not winning. Yeah. It would take so much for me to reach that point of confidence.
To kind of end this so people make sure, watching Bayern's a privilege. They're a fantastic football team. They're incredible. They have some of the best talent in the world, and they're an incredibly well-run club. I'm not criticizing the way Bayern play. I'm not criticizing the way that Bayern ultimately exploit the league. I'm just pointing out that they do it, and ultimately it's bad for the German league. That's what I'm pointing out. Because like their scouting system, their academies, just it's world class, and it's good that Bayern exists. Because I mean, a player like Jamal Musiala, he's going to be the next best attacking midfielder in the world, and Bayern have been able to pick that out and mold him. Yeah. It's a good club. The thing is, Dortmund could have done the same thing if they could have kept Haaland, if they could have kept Götze at the time, if they could have kept Lewandowski, if they could have kept Pulisic even, if they could have kept Jadon Sancho, man, Shinji Kagawa at the time, Mkhitaryan, man. Yeah. They've had some incredible talent over the years, but the moment Dortmund get them, they are looking to sell. And for me, that isn't a league. That I don't know what that is. Yeah. I don't know what that is. And again, maybe the Bundesliga actually is better than Italy. Sure, that's not what I'm arguing. I'm arguing that Inter Milan, AC Milan, Napoli are able to have the ability to compete with the rest of the better teams in Italy. And for me, that's a good league, even if the quality is worse. I always appreciate these type of comments, even if they're a little aggressive, because at the end of the day, if it gets us talking about football, I'm happy. I'm really happy.
At this point, the aggression is, if I don't get a comment without aggression, I don't read it, bro. I need to hear some shit about how I'm a casual, how I'm like some fucking American or some bullshit.
Yeah,
like, I need to hear that to get my attention. And so I'm on it, man. I get it.
Yeah. So shout out Darren. Thank you so much for leaving that comment. I really hope you listen to the words that I'm saying this time, because I think you're disagreeing with something I'm not saying. You're assuming a lot, but either way, fun conversation, man. Yeah. Personally, I don't know if it'll happen, but I want to see this incredible Arsenal side who. Did you see Jesus just go off this past weekend?
Oh, dude.
My God. But I want to see this version of high-octane Arsenal led by Arteta. I want to see Arteta in a do-or-die game.
Ooh.
Yeah. I want to see how Arteta reacts. Because in Arteta's managerial career with Arsenal, he's been in rebuild. Mm-hmm. Arsenal were like, you know what, Arteta, let's build a team. Let's try to go back to Champions League, right? And so for Arteta, he never really had that chance to be like, we have to win this game, because Arsenal never really expected to win that game.
Situation.
So I want to see Arteta play against Chelsea. I want to see Arteta play against Manchester City, against Liverpool, against Tottenham when they're really close in the table. Yeah. And I want to see how Arteta reacts. Yeah. I want to see what he does, because we have not seen Arteta be in this position where Arsenal looking really good.
Dude, Jesus had 2 goals and 2 assists, bro.
Could have also scored a hat trick too. Could have had a third. Could have.
Gabriel Jesus is showing that Arsenal was completely merited in signing him. Yeah. Jesus was born to be on this Arsenal squad, man.
Yeah, man.
And I know I sound like I'm overreacting, but I've never seen a player switch over to a team and just completely look so at home. Look so tailor-made. Like Arsenal have been building this squad just for him. You see players fit into a squad, but this time I'm seeing a squad fit into a player. Bro. And this shit's crazy, man. Jesus is looking like Jesus.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because when it's only been 2 games, but when I've seen Arsenal play, when I see them take the field for kickoff, I'm like, this is Gabriel's team. Mm-hmm. And he just got here. This is his second game. He just made his Arsenal debut, and it looked like he'd been doing this for 5 years.
Yes, and it looks more comfortable and more proactive there than he ever looked at Manchester City.
Completely agree.
It's insane. Now looking back, I'm like, holy shit, they were
holding him back.
Yeah. They were holding him back, and he was still able to produce and be a really good player.
Yeah.
But now on this Arsenal squad, it's so exciting, man. It's so exciting. Love what I've seen from Arsenal. On the other hand, Leicester, man. Leicester, the downfall.
Mid-table team for me.
Yeah,
I'm just not even gonna hope.
Really disappointing.
Same with West Ham. West Ham have had a terrible start to the season, bro.
Yeah.
Terrible start. Yeah. I'm just like, But the thing is, I kind of saw it coming, because West Ham had their chance 2-3 years ago, and it's just ever so slightly slowly been declining. Mm-hmm. And I think this might be the year where it's like you see that true dip. Yeah. This might be the year where you really see them dip down. Yeah. And to just finish 13th or something like. I don't know, but
some other remarks I'll make. Just on other teams in the Premier League. Wolves need a finisher. Holy shit, they need Raul Jimenez back ASAP. They had a multitude of opportunities this past week against Fulham, and they had so many chances, but the finishing was awful, man, awful. So that's my quick thought on them. Leeds showed amazing promise for 60 minutes.
I know.
2-0 win. I was like, holy shit, Jesse Marsch 2 back-to-back victories. And then they lose the lead against Southampton. Aston Villa against Everton. Aston Villa won 2-1. Finally, Aston Villa, who I projected to be way higher than I think they're going to end up being, finally got a win. And Everton, once again, just falls a little short.
Thing is, it actually goes back to your point you made last week. You said that Everton ultimately probably aren't going to score goals, like where the goals are going to come from. And this game proved it. Like, they're proactive, and I commented on that last week. They're very proactive and very ambitious going forward, but they have nobody to rely on. Honestly, even though Villa went up, Everton could have gotten a draw, and if they had a true finisher, Everton looked the better team the last 15, 20 minutes of the game. Yeah. So I'm just like, if Everton just had a true finisher, they probably could have gotten something out of this game, because Villa let it go. Yeah. Villa let it go in the last 20 minutes.
They were begging for someone to come in and score a goal.
Yeah, and they just had nobody.
Yeah, and over 180 minutes, Everton still hasn't scored an actual goal. It was an own goal that they scored. Yeah. When you start Damari Gray, Anthony Gordon, Dwight McNeil, these aren't trash players individually. These are actually pretty good. Anthony Gordon getting linked to Chelsea for $40 million right now. Yeah. Did you see that shit?
Gordon's good,
but as a unit and as a finishing unit, as a team to get you reliable goals, it ain't there. And who else do you have on the bench? They bring on Rondon, Rondon! At one point, we were huge on. He was a great player at one point. The Venezuelan was amazing.
Fantastic.
But his time's passed, man. Honestly, really surprised he's managed to have a spot in the Premier League this long, man.
Yeah, honestly, the thing is, Rondon is a very smart player. His IQ is very high. He knows where to be positionally, and he fights in the box. And he's actually really good at headers. Like, as far as just challenge for them, laying them off, he's great. But finishing, he's not going to do it for you. He'll get a couple of goals, but that's it, man. So it's just like, where are the goals going to come from?
Yeah, so Everton, once again, I'm still on the Everton gets relegated bus, but that's just me as an Everton hater.
You see the Bournemouth Man City game where...
I saw highlights for that one.
Towards the end of the game, I forgot his name. Maybe Smith might have been his last name, the right back. When Jack Grealish came off the bench, just started fouling him like crazy, bro. But that's the thing. Like that's what Bournemouth have to like succumb to at the end of the day because they're not going to see the ball.
Well, yeah,
they're not going to see the ball. So maybe try to frustrate them physically.
Yeah.
But it got a little over the top with Jack. But that's Jack.
That's what I was gonna say. That's just Jack, man. Yeah. It sounds like he's just always gonna get that treatment.
He begs to be fouled on. Honestly, honestly, if you see the way that Jack Grealish plays, like he almost leaves his foot to be touched. Like, honestly, if you see the way he dribbles, if you see the way he cuts, like, he cuts last second. Like, the latest you can cut as a footballer, Jack chooses to do that. So he's just bound to be fouled like crazy.
And he wears his socks so damn low, he's begging you to just kick those fucking ankles, man. But he's like the James Harden of the league. Yeah. He's figured out how to manipulate the game in that sense, too, in his favor. He's winning. He wins the ball in some amazing positions, draws fouls, and like creates just really good opportunities.
And then De Bruyne like jogs up and he's ready for a killer set piece.
Yeah.
I saw the Milan game against Udinese.
Oh yeah,
the opener in Italy, and Milan looked really good. No Frank Kessie. Does
it look like they miss him?
Not yet. And again, I ultimately my takeaway from this game was I can't judge Milan yet. Udinese were good. They were able to get on the scoreboard twice. But even from the get-go, when Udinese scored early, you're like, kind of like how when Madrid were against Almeria.
Yeah.
You're like, Milan are probably going to win this game. Even though Udinese were playing well and they were fighting, Milan just had so much possession and they were utilizing it really well. They were constantly in threatening positions, constantly breaking lines. Udinese constantly running backwards. It was just a matter of time before Milan scored. I think they ended up being 4-2. So not a lot to take away from the game other than that. Milan looked good.
Okay.
And it'll be interesting to see once they play against a more high-caliber opponent. Not to say that Udinese were shit. It's just Milan are a good team.
Yeah. And likewise, the other strong teams in Italy started off really strong. Yeah. Napoli and Juventus scored a combined 8 goals today.
Yeah.
Even Chucky got in on it, not with a goal, but with an assist. Played a good amount of time, too. And then Juventus, Di Maria gets his debut goal.
Vlahovic with 2 goals. So that's looking good.
Mm-hmm.
No Chiesa yet. I'd love to see him play.
Oh, Chiesa.
He's injured,
Or Pogba, he's also injured as well.
Oh, that's right.
I was looking for him too, man.
Yeah.
It'll be a fun time in Italy, I think.
I think so, man. And especially because Lukaku, Inter Milan, on his first game back, gets a goal. Like what? I think it was within the first 10 minutes.
No, England and Chelsea fans hate that shit.
Yeah, man.
It's just so annoying. And I would be annoyed too.
I would be annoyed too. But Lukaku's going to go off once again with Inter, and it's going to make Inter another title contender, at least be in that top 4 for that fighting position.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
so it's going to be fun. It's going to be another fun season in Italy. Talking about players who left Chelsea, man. Timo Werner back at Leipzig.
Same thing.
Jesus.
Same fucking thing.
Yeah.
What's up with that, man?
Yeah, what is that? What didn't work out ultimately? Like truly. Obviously, we know statistically, Werner and Lukaku just
there wasn't enough.
Yeah, output-wise, there wasn't enough, but it's just like, especially Lukaku. Werner, I could be like, maybe he just wasn't cut for Chelsea, and I could be that. But Lukaku, I just like what truly went wrong? Was it an ego thing between Tuchel and Lukaku?
I feel like it was. Yeah, I think it was a lot of stuff behind the scenes emotionally.
Yeah.
But then I also think just the system argument. I think Lukaku was not tailored for Chelsea. And it sucks because it's almost like the Gabriel Jesus situation. He goes back to Inter, and Inter's a tailor-made squad for him, and so you see him thrive.
Yeah.
So I'm also putting it on Chelsea for like not having the awareness of knowing what type of player Lukaku is, and just thinking that because he has such a strong output in Italy, that you can just do that in Premier League now. That you got to be able to fit your players into your squad. And so I don't know who that responsibility lies on. Maybe Tuchel, but overall, it just wasn't a fit, man. It wasn't a fit.
No.
But I have more of an issue with the fact that both of these players, Werner and Lukaku, went back to their old teams.
I have issue with that too.
Like, dude, there's so many teams in the world of football. Why? What's up with these sequels? What is it with this shit?
Yeah, like for me, it's clearly just comfortability.
Yeah.
Werner had such a horrendous time in London, like a really bad time.
People hated him, man.
Yeah. The thing is, he really was bad. Like, I mean, he could not finish for shit. But for him, it's just like, how do I find my form? Let me just go back to where I know I can score. And I get it, but it's also just like, I wish Leipzig used that money for somebody else. Because it's just like, freshen up your team. Because at that point, Leipzig just become what they were, a team who could not beat Bayern Munich. Add something else.
That ain't it.
That ain't it.
That ain't going to do it for you.
Werner didn't do it for you. He's going to be great for you. Sure, he's going to score goals, but you need something else. And yeah. So for Lukaku to go back to Inter Milan, I guess that was a little bit better because he won the league with Inter when he was there. So sure, I guess that's cool too. But Lukaku could have also used this opportunity to build another new chapter elsewhere, which could have been dope too. But hey, I mean, we'll see, I guess.
I was watching Liga MX. That's the last one of the things I want to talk about. Where I was checking up on just the state of the league. We got Toluca leading the league now, man.
Yeah, they're great.
And, well, I guess something I want to talk about first is, this summer we were talking about the potential opportunity that Atlas had of three-peating. And I ultimately said that they would have a shot.
I thought they would too.
Checking back in on them now, I think they're like in 12th or 11th place, brother.
Yeah.
It ain't looking too good. It's still early in the season, obviously, and you only have to be in 12th
12th
place.
Man, you only have to be in 12th.
Bro, I was looking at that shit because I'm checking up on my Chivas. They're like in second to last place. But if they win one game, they're in the playoffs. I'm like, man, we're talking about league structures this time around. I'm like, man, this might not be it. Or on the other hand, this might be it because the drama it produces is insane. The opportunity it gives to these teams. And one of these days, we're going to see a 12 seed win the goddamn tournament. And it's going to be Chivas this year.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm glad you brought this up because I did want to get your take on this because obviously I know you watch a lot of the NBA and they kind of done something similar where they extended the playoff format. What is your true opinion on this extended playoff format of Liga MX?
Man, I'm a Liga MX OG.
Yeah.
It's always been one certain way, and then they decided to switch it up these past few years with the inclusion of an expansion of 4 more teams.
That's 50% more teams into the playoffs. 50. That's a lot, man.
I think for the modern version of Liga MX, it's okay. But for the traditional, for what is known, I'm a little just like, all right. But I'm progressive. I love change.
Yeah.
I love seeing things switch up. So it makes me cherish that era where it was just 8 teams. It makes me appreciate that time more. But I don't mind it because the drama stays the same. The opportunity for lesser teams to still have an impactful ending to their season is still at hand. And still, the best teams win. So far, we haven't seen a team come from that pool of like those extra 4 teams and win the tournament yet, have we? I don't think we have.
No.
Yeah,
no.
So
no.
I think that it's still is set up to reward the best team, or at least one of the best teams. And so I'm cool with it, man.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Maybe that's why I don't like it either, is maybe because of that traditional aspect.
You don't like it?
Yeah, I honestly, ultimately, I don't like it because
no.
going into the last, and you kind of already foreshadowed this, going into the last match day, 15th place has a chance of going to the playoffs. That's ridiculous considering it's an 18-team league. Ridiculous. So for me, it's overkill in the sense that like, it's just too much. It's just too much. And for me, 8 teams was almost perfect. But also, I don't mind it. It's not like I'm going to hate on it. I just prefer the original, just 8 go through, and that's it. I prefer it. But in a similar vein, maybe a 10th place team does a really good surprise and goes to a semifinal or something like that, right? That is a cool idea. And honestly, in this modern, like you said, in this modern day where Liga MX is so competitive, it's definitely possible. It's not like it's just completely unheard of. But ultimately, if I had to say I do or do not like it, I like the traditional way.
Yeah, I think if I have to come up with the perfect version, for me, it would be with the fact that it's 18 teams, that it's a semester for Liga MX.
Yeah.
I would prefer if it was set up in a way where the top 2 teams just play a final, where it's 1 through 18, you play 17 games, and at the end of the season, first place against second place. Maybe expand it to the top 4, but leave it at that. Almost like a vintage college football type of approach, where the top 2 teams face off against each other. I would love that.
I would love that, man. I would. The reason why is because I think right now, if you had to criticize the way the Liga MX is structured, it's because of that. There's so many games, and then there's so many playoff games.
Yeah.
So as we already said, you could be in 15th place, going to the last game, have a terrible season. If the results go your way, you're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So it's just like
it lessens the value of
Exactly.
regular season games, and
Exactly.
I don't. That's something that I do criticize about Mexico and United States.
Oh, I criticize a lot about the MLS.
The regular season feels so invaluable in the scope of there being a presence of playoffs.
Because it is.
Yeah, it is.
It is. So the idea of still keeping it 17 games a semester, but just the top 2 get to fight for the title, but you still have the idea of a playoff, a final.
Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah.
I love that idea. And that, I don't think we'll ever see it.
Nah, Mexico wouldn't want that.
No. They wouldn't want it. No. We'll never see that. But think of how important like match day 9 would be.
Yeah.
That'd be insane.
Yeah.
Knowing that like, okay, we're in 5th place. We need to maintain this spot and we have 7 games left. We have to win this game.
Like the mid-season matchup of a team like in 3rd place against like the team in 1st or something like
yes,
that. Like those matches would start getting really intense, man. But regardless, right now it's Toluca who's in 1st.
Yes.
Right? And I just decided to check up on them. I saw the game against Cruz Azul at the Estadio Azteca just yesterday, I think, where Toluca got the win 3-2.
Yeah.
But it was a classic Liga MX drama-filled, questionable decision-making from the ref type of game. One player I want to highlight, though, from Toluca, Marcel Ruiz.
Yes. Ex-Querétaro player.
Yep, ex-Querétaro. He played at another team as well prior to his arrival to Toluca. 21 years old, defensive midfielder, Mexican. Mm-hmm. I reiterate, Mexican.
Okay. Keep going.
God, man, I saw him play, and it felt like a breath of fresh air watching this kid dominate the ball and even score a goal in this game. I was like, holy shit, this is beautiful.
That's what we need.
This is good to see. I don't know if he's the immediate starter for a national team. I don't think he's there, but this is good. This is a kid that has been progressing, that has talent, natural talent, and that is pinned in that midfield for what is right now the best team in Mexico. I loved it, man. I loved it. I went on Twitter to see if other people were feeling the vibe too. Good to see that there's Marcel Ruiz love going all around. People are excited. Yeah. I was like, okay, this is good, man. This is good. He stood out to me, but then also just that attacking front for Toluca, man, looks electric. You got
Jean Meneses.
Yes.
Leo Fernandez. Carlos Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Oh, I do.
Leo
Huge Leo fan, bro.
Holy shit.
He's incredible.
Yeah.
He's incredible. And it's one of those other things where he was with Tigres. Tigres bought him, didn't work out. They loaned him to Toluca. He went off with Toluca, came back to Tigres, couldn't get into the team for some reason. And now he's back at Toluca popping off.
Man. He seems like he loves the role he has there.
Yeah.
Wears the number 10 jersey and plays like it, man.
Oh, yeah.
Plays like it. He fed his teammates last night, and he got them the win. There was a questionable decision in the 88th minute. Penalty wasn't taken until 98th minute. There's a questionable decision where the game was tied 2-2, and I have to mention it because I had Cruz Azul fans DM me like, hey, you saw that, right? That wasn't fair. And it just brings up a good point with VAR where, like, it yes, technically was a foul, but it was similar to, like, the Cucurella type of play where it's getting a little too, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, just a little foul in the box just because of VAR and the fact that you can now see that foul, whether it was during the ball was in play or not. it forces the game to be a lot more nitpicky. Like it gets a lot more specific now, and that's what happened with this one, where the goalkeeper for Cruz Azul caught the ball and was bringing it down. And in the process of bringing it down, his right foot stepped on the back foot ankle of a Toluca player, and just off of the camera view, that's a foul, but within the flow of a game, you don't know. A lot of Cruz Azul fans feel cheated because it's a very petty call. It gets vague at times with VAR. That's the only thing.
Yeah, I'm actually really glad you brought that up because I haven't thought about this in a while. But one of the biggest takeaways that I got from watching Italian games, Spanish games, Liga MX games this weekend was the refereeing is suspect, man. It's to the point where it's just like it's changing games and it's not good. Yeah. Because I think I use one word to describe how the game should be refereed: context. What you just described is context. In the context of the game, the flow of the game, that cannot be a penalty to decide a winner.
Yes.
That cannot happen. And it's funny because so many Premier League fans criticize the refereeing, but the Premier League has the best referees. They really do. And if they watched Liga MX, if they watched like truly La Liga, Serie A.
I don't know. It's bad in the Prem, man. I feel like it's bad.
In comparison, man. In comparison. That's the thing. That call would not be called in the Premier League, and I guarantee it.
Okay, yeah, to that extent, yeah.
But that thing is that happens so often in Liga MX and La Liga.
Right. So
often. And it's to the point where I actually truly appreciate the refereeing in the Premier League because they truly do let them play. Every time I catch a Fox Deportes broadcast, one of my favorite commentators, Sir John Laguna.
He's great, man.
Every game, he is begging the referee to just let them play. Begging them. Yeah. But it's because Liga MX especially, take Europe outside of this conversation, Liga MX especially, the most nitpicky little nibble fouls like in one of the top leagues like across the globe, dude. The referees are so picky and they don't let anything slide. And for me, it ruins the flow of the game. It ruins a little bit of creativity, flair. And it's just like, let the game flow. Let players get physical because it only helps the league because once players start getting fouled, the only way to adapt is to get quicker on the ball. The only way to adapt is to get better at dribbling. The only way to adapt is just to increase your skill level. Yeah. But if you can always be bailed out by a foul, if you can always be bailed out by a random ass penalty, it lowers the overall evolution of the game in said league. And Liga MX is particularly really, really bad about it. And yeah, I'm not surprised that happened because it's been happening in Liga MX for years, man.
It gets hidden behind a fake cloth when people will describe it as drama. I feel like that's what they say about Liga MX. It's just dramatic. It's drama. But it's drama created by questionable decisions by the ref. Whereas in Premier League, you are right where contextually or in comparison, it's different. That's true. The more I think about it, better. I think people do shit on the Premier League a lot because it is the most popular league in the world. And so it's what they see. Yeah. And yes, there are still questionable decisions. I mean, we saw with the Chelsea and Tottenham game, that one was filled with it. But today I was watching the Liverpool Crystal Palace game, and that game was very physical, bro. Very physical. A lot of non-calls happening, but what I actually liked was that it was very consistent. What happened with one side was allowed with the other, and the commentator even pointed out how he said what he liked about the fact that this year apparently the Premier League is making a point to not be as nitty-picky. Yeah. He said he liked it because it helps benefit the flow of the game. The movement of the ball just continues moving forward, and it's just better on the eyes. It's better for the viewers, and like you said, it actually is better for the players as well in terms of like less stoppages and ability to improve because now you got to deal with what's being thrown at you. Yeah. But still, man, we still get. I think refereeing in general, I do feel as a viewer that it should be way better than what it actually is. Just in world football, I always felt the refereeing is not held to the same standard that we are holding, like I guess the players at.
For me. And yeah, I mean, this is the state of it, though. If there's a non-European ref, I'm worried. I'm truly, truly worried. And I think back to so many big moments where Nestor Pitana refereed Croatia against France, and ultimately, I think France would have won without Pitana or not refereeing. I'm not saying he swayed the game, but I'm saying a lot of his calls were take context out of it. I'm just gonna look at how I'm just looking at physical contact. Oh, foul! Like I hate that type of style of refereeing. European refs are excellent at just letting the game play out the way the sport should be played. I remember the opener, Brazil against Croatia in 2014. A Japanese ref called a stupid penalty on Fred.
Yeah, that was awful.
It was awful, man. Yeah. awful. And it ultimately gave Brazil the momentum to go on to win the game because at that time it was a tight game. And to open the game with a penalty, it completely changes the momentum of said game. So I find myself, and even in like other tournaments, like I was watching an Asian tournament that had a Mexican referee, like he was invited to go ref. He had a horrible game. And I'm just like, I can't trust non-European refs. I can't trust them to referee the game the way that I expect it to be refereed. So going into every World Cup, I'm always a little wary when there's a non-European ref.
What player do you think is going to be a great coach?
Dude, you know what? This is a great point because I was watching a game with my dad, and I watched like 3 games back to back, and he was just like, that guy used to play. And I'm like, yeah. And then we watched another game, and he was like, I've seen that guy play too. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Dude, we got Wayne Rooney coaching in DC. I saw Xavi coach, and he used to play 10 years ago.
Lampard.
Mikel Arteta. Lampard.
Gerrard.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
The
list goes on.
Gerrard, the list goes on.
Gattuso from Italy, 2006 winner.
Inzaghi's coaching in Italy.
Pirlo tried it.
Yeah, exactly, bro. So many players who played 10 years ago are now coaching. Yeah. So I'm just like, dang, like I'm seeing a lot of recent players become coaches now.
Holy shit. Yeah, the more I think about it, yeah.
Bro, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So who do you think
is going to be a good coach?
Is going to be a coach, and who's going to be good at it? I'm thinking right now I think De Bruyne would be a great coach, because sometimes it's usually not the stars that make really good coaches.
I was about to say, I always think like a good central midfielder.
Yeah, a good fundamental player.
Fundamental player makes a good one. Okay. Koke? Yeah, that's a sound prediction. Put money on that one.
Thiago. I just start naming Spanish players. You see Messi or Ronaldo ever coaching?
I definitely don't see Messi, like 100%.
I can't imagine.
I just can't. Like
on the touchline.
He's achieved so much. It's like, why? Like, why put himself through that?
But imagine him and Ronaldo coach against each other one game, and they do the same thing.
Dude.
Same thing Conte and Tuchel did with it.
Imagine.
Damn, man. But Ronaldo, you could see Ronaldo? I could see Ronaldo.
I think I could see it. I definitely could see it.
I just don't see him leaving the sport of football. I feel like he wants to be involved one way or another. And I don't know if it's as an analyst or TV personality. I think he has to be like on the pitch still until he dies.
Yeah, and like you could also ask like who'd be good commentators, because we have some good ex-players be great commentators, like Gary Neville, Rob Green, the ex-England goalkeeper. He's a great commentator. He's not a great goalkeeper, but a great commentator, man. So like you get that stage. Luis Garcia, ex Spanish midfielder, a great commentator now.
Univision has done it a few times.
Yeah. Forlan has dabbled. Yeah.
Busquets.
Definitely could see that. Yeah, I definitely could see that.
I mean, stern.
How much he's seen like in front of him. I bet he just understands the game at a completely different level, man.
Neymar.
Nah.
You don't see Neymar coaching?
I don't see Neymar coaching.
I see him coaching kids.
Maybe in Brazil. Yeah. I could see Neymar like just like casually coaching in Brazil or something like that. At least like dabbling and then being like,
trying it. Yeah, I could see him trying
it
for a year. Damn, dude. I definitely see Mo Salah one day coaching the national squad.
Yeah?
I just see it happening.
Yeah. Like a Maradona type of situation.
Exactly. Yeah. I can see it.
Oh, that would make a lot of sense. Yeah, I could just see
I'm like
it.
seeing that one right now. I'm like, the scenes I just saw were crazy, dude. I just saw it all in front of me for like a good 5 seconds. Like a bald Salah, like
just like
hands crossed, but like there's this respect for him.
Yeah.
You know? Hope you guys enjoyed listening to this. Once again, thank you for the support. Make sure to keep up with us. We'll be posting next week after all of this week's games. And guys, make sure to always go and give, and to give and go. Have a good day, guys. Have a good one. We'll catch y'all. Bye.